the industry is using it, everybody is using it, but everybody is very scared of it. There is a lot of cribbing around the usage of AI itself. My faculty is of the opinion that the students should not be allowed to use it on the campus. The students are okay with not using it on the campus because now all the campuses are open campuses. So usage or doing their assignment elsewhere does not hamper their giving. So the point that I want to bring out is that in the last 5 years, what we have also noticed is that the industry is also moving away from domain skills. They're looking at more of attitudinal or interpersonal skills, which the student or an employee brings in as being more important than just knowledge about technology. So whether you know about Python or Java or C++ or about marketing or not, it is how well you are culturally fitting into my organization is something that has really shifted. In the last decade or so that I have been in education and prior on the other side, we used to look at the core skills. So on your resume, and look at what have you done in 10th, 12th graduation, and then what have you studied, and then going forward, where have you worked and what have you worked on. That is also shifting. So I think in the terms of disruption, AI will definitely disrupt. What we need to do is we need to see how we can adopt it. So starting from Elon Musk, I saw one of the placards reading about what Elon Musk wants to say, or Altman or Sundar Pichai, or our own Premji Bhais and the Bidlas and Tatas and Adanis and Ambanis. They all want to use it. They also want to control it. But I think the time will tell whether we can control it or not. But we can definitely need to adopt the technology and see how it moves forward. In the first session, it was mentioned that when computers came in, and I remember it very well, I was working with NIIT computers at that point of time, that because the computers are there, jobs will vanish. And similarly, now the cry is that because AI is there, everything or repeatable tasks will vanish. I don't think that is going to happen.
Agree. I think thanks for giving us the confidence that our jobs are safe. Thank you, sir. Right. But you never know. I mean, while you talked about that the faculties and the students have a conflict around when to use, what not to use. But you never know that maybe one of your student is already developing a program, which would mean the moment Mohit sir enters the university campus, there's a notification that goes to everyone that, hey, Mohit sir is here, shut your chat GPTs.
I'm sure that is happening.
I'm pretty confident knowing the next generation, they must be working around it.
There is also actually a GPT that will tell you how to fake it. My son actually explained me that. So if you use that one, it'll fool the testing GPTs. Yeah. And it worked because I bought that subscription.
Wow.
If I can interject
sure,
just one minute more. So there was this meme which was going on, or otherwise also on the video it is available. Now you can tell the chat, the AI, to give you an answer based on your qualifications. Yeah. So when you say that I want to write a letter on cow, and I am a 8-year-old, or I am a 18-year-old, or I am a 80-year-old, it will accordingly modulate, which is scary to an extent, because in our times when we wrote about cow or friend, they were coming from the heart. And now it is coming from a system.
And I think that there's nothing wrong in that. I'll just quickly quote an example from our company. We have our own Gen AI tool, which is developed in-house by our lab team called Genesis. We have quarterly check-ins in our performance management program. My team interestingly sends out an email to all the employees that please use Genesis, which is ChatGPT, for your self-assessment. Now we're talking about school kids, college kids. This is what the professionals are also doing. Right. Thanks. With that, I'll move on to the next question to Hemal. By the way, Hemal comes as the Chief Digital Officer with Adani. And all those things that you are seeing in this conglomerate, he's the person who's behind that. Likewise, Prosenjit represents HR fraternity and also represents SRKAY consulting company, which is, most of us know it by the name of Dholakia family. We have the board of director here with us, the youngest board of director. There's interesting stories. You should catch up with him later on, how they get trained. It's amazing. And then we have Mohit sir from Ahmedabad University. With that, I'll move to the next question. And Hemal, this is for you. How many of us are from HR? Oh shit, here also we are in minority. Oh yeah.
HR is speaking and HR is watching.
So what are some of the, Hemal sir, for you, what are some of the biggest challenges you face in leveraging data analytics for making decisions related to HR?
So it's a very interesting trend, right? See, ek hai the, when we talked about HR, see, people were termed as resources, meaning we are lines on a spreadsheet, right? वहाँ से थोड़ा बढ़ के we became human capitals. People are actually interested in who you are, right? अभी आगे भी कुछ तो होएगा. I think we were actually chatting about it. Next term.
He asked me what.
कुछ तो मेरे को term बोला था मेरे को.
After the human capital, quote unquote, he asked me what should be. They should not go anywhere. Right? I said human aliens. That's how HR professional will emerge in a couple of years from now.
So, I mean, at least look, I'm a little bit old now. I've lost all my hair. But if I just see my journey, the first data was about how many people do I have or kaun hai mere paas. Right? So we actually started from there. Like, who do I have? Then it was like, okay, what do I have? Like, tell me a little bit about them. Do they have degrees? How many studies they have done? What's their home address? Yada, yada, yada. Then I actually want to know how is their performance. I'm really interested to know a lot more about the employees, right? Then I also want to know what is the future of the employees. Right? We do our classic, 9-boxer, those things, right? Now the question is also saying, is the employee interested in me? How do you answer that? So how many of you, genuinely, hand on heart, has somebody that you know who is happy with the job, but is actually looking outside? Show your hand. No, not you guys. Somebody that you know who's happy with the job, but is actually looking outside, he or she. Almost everybody. Hath to uthao yaar. Yes? No, there is something wrong. Right? How do we know that? So actually, one of the questions that I got asked in the HR, our meeting with the big boss, how many people will leave? How do I answer that? If I ask the manager, that's galat hai, that person's perception is there, but how many managers know of perfectly happy employees and they still left? 100%. Including me, including everybody. So people leave, it's very normal. But when do I get the signals that people are going to leave and what am I going to do proactively? Now for these things, it becomes a very interesting problem because the data that I have in my universe will not suffice me. Because it is all what do I know from the outside? What do I know from their social media handles? What do I know from their LinkedIns? We say that, look, we will not look into your data, but we will appoint an quote-unquote agency who will look at your data, right? But look, the more data I know about you to do something good for you is absolutely good, right? A few of the thoughts that we had, look, again, please don't write it anywhere, but a few of the thoughts that I have was, if I understand what is the mood of the employee when they walk from their desk to the cafeteria, it actually tells a lot, really, are they enjoying their job or not. If somebody is like, mar ke ja raha hai, we know, boss, something, somebody is smiling, somebody is enthusiastic, theek se kha raha, you know what, there's a little bit of chance that they're happy. Now, how do I get that data? From the video feeds, right? So now, how do I now expand this universe to not just see, like statistically, how good are we, but how do I now expand? Because now data is everywhere. That is why, look, AI jobs and all that other, because of data hai. I did my degree in AI. Itne saal pehle, ek job nahi tha in AI. So I left AI. Right? Abhi to, because data is not there. You can't train. Now, there is data. So I think to me, it is about a lot of interesting questions are being asked. And those questions you will not get with the data that you have in your hand. It is data from the outside. And how do you, in a very ethical way, get to that data and use it for the betterment of knowing your people?
Thanks. So what essentially you are saying, is that, the consistency in the data and the quality of data itself is very important to get the...
Yeah. And how do I use that to really say, I care genuinely about my employees so that before they are thinking to even put their resume out, I can do some necessary interventions. How do I get those signals? It's a complex problem, but I'm sure within 1 or 2 years, somebody is going to solve it.
Right. Thanks, Hemal. Prosenjit, the associated question to you is, what are some of the essential skill sets that you feel that are going to be important in the next couple of years? What are those essential few skills that is going to be the skills to look in next couple of years from now?
I think technologically, of course, the digital skills are important. There are blockchain, and then there are typically, AIs, MLs. We heard about it, right? Programming languages like, then SAP is also coming up, because currently what is happening is that one of the important, understanding or, discussions that is happening in the industry is that earlier, and still today, I mean, there are startups, large companies, mid-sized organization. Everyone has a different culture of doing. Some companies do not want to get into customized feature of technology. They said, okay, we have standard organization like a Zoho or a Salesforce. Why do they exist, right? Or success factors for that matter, because they have understood the trend. They designed the way reporting should be, or the technology should be enabled. And they are catering to most of the industry standard benchmarks, right? Now you may want to customize it better. You have internal technology tools, what Hemal was saying, you use it. Now, I think with that, what is very important and we should always remember is the soft skills. So soft skills are pretty critical. It was there, when we started career 20 years, 30 years back, and it is still now, right? Because what is more important, there are generations happening. Now, if you look at, from baby boomers to today, we are in millennial, and Gen Z, Gen Alpha is coming. My daughter is into Gen Alpha, right? And tomorrow she get married, and then Gen Beta, Omega, whatnot, right? I was like, shit scared that, okay, what generations? Now, these generations are so advanced, and we were talking, right? They would share their views. They would not limit themselves. They are very logical. You can't counter them because they comes with data and hard facts, right? Emotions is one thing. Practicality is another. They are also practical. They are vision oriented, because I deal with, board of directors. They are all youngsters, They are a very different mindset, right? Now, what is happening is that I think what is very important whenever you work with leaders who are young, you want to promote, like our vision in our company is that, okay, put the youngsters in the chair, let them, but it would not happen one day. What is happening? Soft skills is very important. So what is soft skills? Being humility, humbleness, bring the in-depth understanding, bring research, because what is happening is that most of us don't do enough depth. Like Hemal was saying, that how do you know someone is leaving, right? Very important questions. No one in the world could judge a happy person leave and everyone is happy at one point in time. When the unhappiness goes, how do you quantize that? I mean, how do you watch it? How do you get to know? So the human angle will come. So emotions, humanity, human angle, and, maybe, watching I would not say watching your employees, but I would say observing, feeling your employees are very important. I don't see any technology till now can do that. It is very difficult to understand the psychology of a person, the psyche of a person. Why one would leave even they are happy. So what is that trigger it out? So if we can, and I think a lot of organizations are working towards it. They are having video fakes. They are trying to have pulse surveys. They are getting into, while they are all great place to work, they are still getting into the psychological assessments of understanding people. And whenever there is a potential, there is something in HR said, RAG, red, amber, green. Even there is yellow and gray areas in between. You know what I'm talking. We don't touch upon those. And that is what HR has to do a tectonic shifts, because it is now human capital, it is people functions, it is not resource management, it is not back-end operation. It is a people function. Talk to people, understand, sit with them, and do it informally, bring a lot of soft skills, bring humility. And while you evolve, so while you do your capacity building, capability building, your center building, all of that, move into disruptive organizations, also try to understand that fine line of, the soft skills or the, the human angle to it, which is also impacting disruptions, and that is why attritions are happening.
Right. That's right.
And I think what is I would like to add this point also. When you understand that, tie them up with culture. A person can leave you, a person don't leave the culture. Right? So I represent a company which is a very 70 years old culture of a family. So they tied up. So there is a 0.01% of attrition rate in the group level. And on an average, 15-year-old employees, they are working because they tied up with the culture. So if you tied up with the culture, brought them the story, make them believe the story, which is very important, brought the human angle to it, right? And work on their skills, hard skills and soft skills, you are home.
Perfect. Thanks, Prosenjit. I think I really like this fact that every time he talks about HR, he looks at me. Right. Next one is to you, Mohit. So, in what ways academia are adapting their curricula, to meet the future requirements and the skill sets that both Prosenjit and Hemal spoke about? How are you adapting for the future readiness of these skills? How are you putting that into your curriculum?
So I think more than HR, it is to do with organizations, right? What they're looking at, as Prosenjit and Hemal also mentioned, is how much hands-on are you? So as a institution, Ahmedabad University or elsewhere, any other campus for that matter, is stressing more or focusing more on the hands-on training that or hands-on experiential learning that the students can have, whether it is at Ahmedabad University, we do a year-and-a-half-long consulting assignment for the students. They do a lot of live projects. For example, we are currently doing with SEVA, which is a development organization, or Teach for India, or Adani Wilmar, or Reliance Hamleys. These are basically made for the student to understand that what they are learning in the domain, they necessarily will not be implementing over the next few years of their careers in totality. And hence, if they are able to get understanding of what the organizations are basically looking at, it works. Other ways is we are setting up a lot of center of excellence by the industry itself. So KUKA Japan is putting up a robotics center. MG Motors is doing it for mechanical engineering, automotive engineering, and so on and so forth. Or LTI Mindtree, and a host of them are doing a lot of associations with the campuses to bring out the actual requirement which the industry has into the classroom. A lot of master classes that bring industry veterans to a classroom to tell the students or the future workforce what is it that is desired out of them. Domain knowledge, of course, is the underlying thing. I mean, you can't have anybody who does not know about finance to be getting into finance, or a mechanical engineer not talking about mechanics per se. But then what are the other features that are there? How are you getting to know about that you have to spend 7 hours on a shop floor and not talk about work-life balance in the first 1 year of your life, is something that perhaps the campus or most of the campuses are trying to imbibe amongst the students.
That's brilliant. I think I remember that a couple of years back when the new skill sets come in and we were struggling to get the people. We also tied up with one of the university GTU and we designed their curriculum, not just the curriculum, but we also invited their entire faculties for 4 weeks of training at our organization. And that helped us really well because next year we picked up people based on what we require. So that's fantastic. I think that's a great initiative, Mohit sir. Thank you. I've already got a buzz that we just have 5, 7, 10 minutes left. I had prepared a long list of questions to put these guys into the right place, but unfortunately, owing to the time, we'll take 1 or 2 more questions, and I'll open up if you have any questions. So, Hemal, for you, and this one is my favorite question. What are some ethical considerations that companies should keep in mind while utilizing data for HR purposes, especially from employees' perspective? What are some of those ethical considerations considering your GDPA and whatnot?
Yeah, it's when data grows, again, it's which data do you ethically take, which you not. If you go back to my example of are people smiling or not at work, like, I don't want to pull that data when you are at your desk. It's not allowed. I can take it on the hallway, right? So it's really, where do you draw the line? How to use the data? But look, I mean, it's a complex question. I may not have the answer on that. But how many of you have heard of a company called Cambridge Analytics? Few of you? Perfect. A small company, many years ago, I think it was what, like 5, 6, 7 years ago? It was not even recent. They may have used data of people to turn an entire election and had Trump win it. Right? Now, it's not, there are signs that is true. But correct. So the opposite is also true, is how are people intrinsically using the data, companies, and forcing you to make a decision. Quick question, how many of you buy on Amazon? Everybody. How many of you have scrolled down more than 5 pages to buy the product? Probably null. The product that you want at the best price could be on the 6th page. But what happens? You want to push up the product that Amazon wants you to buy. And there is a good chance you will buy the first 3 of them. I ran Dell.com probably for 10 years. That's where I lost my hair globally. But look, I mean, that's what companies do, right? Now, is it unfair on Amazon's part to do this? No. It's marketing 101, right? So I think it's an interesting thing. I think, where do you draw the line? Because your data, whether you like it or not, is going to be used more and more and more. I am pretty sure when you came in and all, your video feeds are all there. Now, what happens to that? I mean, so unfortunately, I don't have an answer to that, but you should be aware that your data will be there. If not your company, somebody else is going to use it.
Great. Thanks. You want to add something?
I was laughing because Instagram, right? When you search for something and you completely have feeds, you search for something in Google, you see in all other social medias. That's how, right? Someone is always watching, isn't it? How do you ignore it?
I think going forward, it is, even if you are talking about it with your mobile on, even if you're talking about it, it starts showing up.
Pranabhai is watching.
No, the other day when we 3-4 of us were in a meeting and discussing about how we're gonna take this session, suddenly I think you mentioned, I thought it's the CDO's AI secretary who has joined in. And HR is HR, so I waited for a couple of minutes that, okay, let's wait, let's not be disgraceful. But then while 3 of us joined, I realized, oh no, it's not his secretary, it's the chat AI who has joined in. That happened day before yesterday. In fact, yesterday. Yes. And immediately I had to disconnect. So yeah, which I think it's just very, very disruptive. Mohit, a quick question for you. In academia, and this is a little humorous one, in academia, if a student claimed that they could replace HR professionals with a chatbot, what would your response be? If someone says that they can claim my job by a chatbot, what would your response be?
No, I think Hemal also touched upon it, Prosenjit touched upon it. I think the human angle is something that...
You have to be loud. There are very less HR professionals.
I think the human angle to be brought in terms of understand core competencies or core characteristics of an individual, a chatbot or any of these tools are
So human paranoia, right? HR is often LOD, laugh out loud kind of a job, but it's most misunderstood job so ever. I took that profession, I was in operations, right? Knowingly, it was a conscious choice. So like I said, it's the paranoia that we deal with every day from people. And yes, so we have 3, right? So people and stakeholders, investors, and look at the headache that we do. Colleagues, senior management, everyone. So I think it's a kudos to HR. I would definitely take that time.
You again looked at me.
Say that. But again, the paranoia and the emotions, it cannot be replaced. I don't think any technology can replace that. So once we can But again, I solely believe it cannot happen. So we cannot work from the, we have to come out from the cabin culture. We have to sit with people, understand them, right? Our jobs would evolve, but the connect should remain.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Mohit, sir, associated question, and this is going to be the last one for you. Should we start adding chatbot management to the curriculum?
It's already happening. There are courses which are dealing with chatbot management
Wow.
on campuses and some of the campuses per se. But as chatbots become more pervasive, maybe a Salesforce or similar program, I think that it is imperative that there will be courses on chatbot which will get offered for not for otherwise basically the domain knowledge itself for the students to understand how chatbots work and how it needs to be managed, rather than looking at it from doing everything as a HR.
Great. Would you mind adding a chapter in that when on the chatbot management, that when HR or chief digital officer says shut up, the chatbot should shut up?
That will happen.
Thank you, sir.
That will happen.
Last one for you, Prosenjit. How do you think AI will change the way we hire people? And what are some of the ethical issues or considerations that we should keep in mind? We have just 3 more minutes. I can see the panelists.
I'll just
already
quickly
joining.
wrap it. So typically, if you really look at it was there ATS. Now I talked about the Autobot system, right, which is happening. Because it is also true when we formulate the job description. Now the job descriptions, which is the first thing, it is also been formulated by the AI, right? It's not manual anymore, right? And then there are systems and automations that will formulate your JDs. So it says you feed the data, it automatically formulate, put you in PDF, put the primary soft skills, hard skills, all of that, right? Compensations benchmarking can also happen. So they will all tag it that, the compensations benchmarking, all of that. What is the right salary? So they are tagged with, salary.com, pay scales, and all of that, right? And they will get you the compensation. So most of the manual tasks is been happening through chatbot, right? However, the interventions, like I said, it would not be completely disruptive in a way. It would not be taken away. So there is a human angle to it. But yes, recruiting, when it comes to talent acquisition, there is a 75 to 80% of usage of artificial intelligence for good. Definitely for good. Now it is your choice whether you would hire a robot to call up the first instance, or do you want a recruiter to call up the person, because there is a emotions to it, right? A robot is a robot. It will have a structured feed. They will only talk about that language. And if any other additional question, that can be customized. But intonation, soft skills, smiling on the call, kind of giving a qualm and, ensuring the conversation is healthy, all of it can only be happen human. So the call is on you. Talent acquisition, I see the most disruptive. And plus HR automations, HR operations, there is a, heavy disruptions in, technologies. I mean, I'll give you an example. The other day, I was to prepare a talent strategy for one of our GCC client, and we use Copilot. There are mixed reactions, right, of Copilot. But I wanted us to try it out. I said that, and we use the paid ones. Let me remember that. Okay, we use the paid ones, not the free ones. So we asked a talent strategy of 15 pages, and I put the prompt. What he said, I am a CHRO, etc. Very nice prompt. So, like the marketeers use it, right? The prompt, the introduction, conclusion, behind the content. You have to put the right prompt also. When you put that, I just waited for 2-3 minutes, it automatically formulated the 15 pages talent strategy. It took all of it, EY, KPMG, Mercer, design, EVP model, whatnot. I was amazed to see that. It took me 5-10 minutes to formulate that talent strategy, and then I make a use of it because I have to submit it. This happened with us for one of our Saudi client. We were trying to, So that is what I was trying to tell you, is that how do you use it smartly is also your benefit. So the time saving is very critical factor of it. Yeah, so this is also a positive part of how AI is shaping the HR work.
I think you mentioned about the JD, and I'll stand corrected here that a lot of companies, including ours, have started using AI for JD. And one beautiful thing that has emerged out of that is that it removes completely all the biases. Like, unfortunately, we have grown up in an environment where you end up using he, she. If there's it's the safety job, you'll mention he should be like this. And if there's a HR job, you end up saying she should be like that. So those biases have gone. And what is happening is when you put those JDs along with the CVs, the AI will give you the stack ranking based on what fitment they have. That's what something, as I said earlier at the beginning of the session, 59% of the global organization have already started using AI for their HR processes. And this is, even before you hire people, this has been very helpful. So I think that's a great example.
In fact, Yatendra, you can also, one second point to it, you can even evolve through unconscious biases. Let's say, for example, I have observed in career is that when we hire female employees, right, there are female employees who had maternity, and then there was a career gap. And the hiring manager had a unconscious bias. That cannot come in any, so how do you add that also? So it's a question. So you have to think through, think very deep. So it's a deep technology. Deep analysis, deep human is what I think.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think this is very helpful.
Yeah,
the way we are adapting it. And thanks. With that, I think we have last 2 minutes. I know we went very fast, but that's how the time was. Any questions? Wow, we did our job. And Mohit, sir, you wanted to say something. You picked up the mic, right? Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry, please.
वन क्वेश्चन ऑल ऑफ यू सारी आईटीज कंपनी के लिए एक सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज हो गया है कि मून नाइटिंग वर्क. ऋषिद प्रेम जी ने भी थोड़े दिन पहले सेकेंड टाइम कमेंट किया था, तो आपका क्या सजेशन है इस चीज़ का?
आप सिंपल एक काम करो, यूएन चेक डाल दो. ठीक है, क्योंकि कोई भी कंपनी जब भी हायर करते हैं वो उनका बाय लॉ पीएफ में रजिस्ट्रेशंस होते हैं, राइट? और 99% कंपनी अभी करते हैं, या तो बेस में 12% देंगे या 15,000 में रहेंगे, राइट? तो वो कर लो, बिकॉज वी ट्राइड लॉट ऑफ एफर्ट्स एंड वी फेल्ड. हमने यूएन चेक चालू कर दिया, राइट? वेन एवर वी डिड इट एकदम आ जाता है, बिकॉज ऑल लेट्स से इफ यू हायर फ्रॉम एनी कंपनी, गुड टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनी, they do it on the day one. तो registration happen in by 24 hours or so. They would so even one day उसने काम किया ना, उसका UN दिख जाएगा आपको. वो आप कर लो. And if you really want to get into criminal checks and all of that, you can do court record and all of that. But I think for this is the best thing.
Yeah, so far I think I absolutely agree. So far this is the best solution that is there.
Yeah.
Going for UN, that's a unique number. I was just sharing an example. One of my employees whom we sacked was working with 7 organizations. Not 1, 2, 7. 7 organizations the gentleman was working. And guess what? He was running his own company with 20 people. He'll take work from me, he'll take work from 6 others, delegate it, and get the work done. The only way we caught him, we did all the background verification. We thought that there's something messy. The only solution that worked was going to the PF account, and we caught all of them. Guess what? The companies are big 4. So, जो उन्होंने बोला बिल्कुल सही. UN is the only solution as of now. Right? Even if you go and type this prompt on ChatGPT, this is the answer they'll get.
In fact, we have started noticing, if I can.
That's what I think Hemal was saying, right? The human part, the behavior part of it will never go away. Come what?
I think at campuses also we started noticing that most of the organizations, when making an offer, they started asking for your PAN and Aadhaar numbers, right? They just made it almost mandatory for you to submit your PAN and Aadhaar at the time of accepting the offer itself from the campus. Not about joining, not about appointment letters, nothing. Just your Aadhaar.
I think with over a period of time, in next couple of months to a year, I think this problem will go away. Moonlighting will not, or either will make it legal. Like a lot of other companies have done, that's absolutely okay. After your work hours, whatever you do is okay. But thank you. We have one last question for you. Ladies, just be here for 5 more minutes. Sorry.
We are actually learning a lot listening to you.
No, that's it. What, sorry, are you saying that with moonlighting, you're getting the salary in your someone else's accounts? Right. So salary account, I mean, you still have to register to PF. Sorry, you want to add?
No, so typically, I'll counter his question. I am a consultant, okay? I am working full time with your company. I'm freelancing, earning money, putting bank account in my wife's salary. How do you counter it? Okay, let me tell you legal, because I'm also a legal guy. Non-compete, non-solicitation is null and void as per the court of law. You cannot prove it. You go to Supreme Court, they will tear it out. Because what court says, your policy is your policy. What is written in the bill, we will follow that. You
Right
look at
to-
ID Act, you look at any act for that matter. It's company's prerogative. Court doesn't hear. They will always stand with employees, the labor relations, right? Now, there is no end to it. I just given a hack which one can give, right? Can do. So you can be cautious enough and don't utilize by yourself for sure that I can do that. But I'm saying if I have to earn money, I can do that. It is where ethics comes in. So what you can say, you can put a lot of process, you can sensitize employees, you can put a stringent documentation, right? That, okay, if you get red-handed, we have to take stringent action. That much of you can do, but you cannot proactively did something to check whether this person is doing it, or else the data breach would not happen, right? The working with friends company and earning money would not happen. That is still the most painful thing. You are working in a company, getting all the data and utilizing in some other services are also happening, right? Now, is it that big corporations are not aware of it? Definitely they are aware of it, right? They are probably ignoring it, or they are probably safeguarding their own data in a way. If you get red-handed, they will blacklist you. This is the two-way.
Correct,
Is
correct.
what I can.
Correct. And I think the right of livelihood supersedes every employment agreement that we have. Right, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. It's a pleasure to see such a diverse audience. Initially, we were a little hectic. I thought that, okay, why don't we sit aside each other and start the session? But glad that we have a full house as we're ending. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Mohit, Prosenjit, and Hemal. Your insights were really helpful. I have my own takeaways, and thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.